Hello, good afternoon. And I know it's the second last session, so you're all tired. And the topic is technology, so we'll try to make it simpler. I think you have attended most of the other earlier sessions, and you will realize that the theme of this summit is resilience. And I believe for this sector to be resilient, digital transformation plays a very important role. In fact, you would have heard Mr. Chatwal in the morning, who spoke about how IHCL is adopting digital technology and, in fact, have launched a new business which is a digital native called Escumin and is doing very well. Technology today is changing very fast and, in fact, in leaps and bounds, especially in the area of automation, artificial intelligence, and machine learning algorithms. There are many organizations who have adopted this. And in fact, you'll be surprised to know that hospitality is not too far behind. If I have to give you some examples of how organizations are using artificial intelligence, those include they use service robots for serving the guests who can not only service but also interact with the guest in their native language. Then you have virtual assistants, or as we call chatbots, which are deployed on the website or app and as well as WhatsApp, who can address frequently asked questions to the guest. They can help them in the guided selling. If I have to give you some examples of machine learning algorithms, then there's a predictive analytics you can do. There's a lot of forecasting you can do. In fact, and some of my panelists will talk about people are talking about dynamic pricing, where the price can vary based on the demand supply at any given point in time. Personalization is also an important area, which again we'll talk later in the session. So while we do, and just to add, since I represent IHCL, we are also investing a lot in this area. We have some of the use cases I spoke about, we already implemented and continue to invest in this area. So while we spoke about AI and automation, an important aspect also needs to be taken into account is that what does our guest feel about? While this is from our perspective, and this is where I would like to get my panelists involved and take their perspective in terms of what are the guests today looking at, which are the user journeys that they would really like to automate or digitize. Has it really changed post-pandemic? And what are they saying? So to begin with, Hemant, how are you seeing the trend? What your customers are talking to you about?
Okay. Post-pandemic, they were totally different way of, the expectations were totally different from the customers. Customers, hotel industry is always known for giving a human touch. Hotel industry is always known for giving a best of the silver service and best of the experiences to the customers. But over a period of time, what we have seen now is there are different kind of customers. There's different segments. There are people digitally very, highly qualified. They know how to use equipment. They know how to handle apps. And then at the same time, there are customers which are non, digital user. They, go for digital detoxification completely. But looking at the scenario, looking at the requirement and the millennium customer, and I think it is better to have these kind of technologies in place where, you can, when a customer is going into digital world or they're leaving their footprints at every level, be it social media, be it online, be it over the, any other IT system, set up any connectivity, mobile app, reputational tools, or whatever you call it as. They're leaving their digital footprints, and to capture those digital footprints and convert into memorable experience is what we are looking at as a hotel industry. That is the main, if I may explore this further, person searching on Google can get captured immediately. That okay, somebody is searching hotel in, let's say, Barcelona or hotel
Correct.
In different location. So from there onward, the journey starts. That okay, the person is searching, then how to reach to that person? Has he completed the search or has he left the search in between? If he has left the search, you go connect customer again. That, okay, sir, you wanted to come to Barcelona. Is there anything, how may I do something, And then once the customer is search is over, then reservation systems comes up. Once the reservation systems comes up, then once the customer is, at your premise in the hotel, then the experiences, the data gathering, the behavior of the customer, what they're liking, what their expectations, and then post checkout, their feedback, their reviews. This complete journey is to be, captured, managed, mapped, and given it back to the customer in a very digital way.
Okay.
That is what, is on.
Great. Thanks, Hemant. Mr. Baljee, how are you seeing your customers?
I think he's captured everything what needs to be done in the hotel industry. And as you said, that hotel industry is a lot of personalization, which is also important, which cannot be really captured, up to a certain extent. So maybe I'll say that, you have artificial intelligence. Now they're talking of augmented intelligence. That means you need to supplement what you are
Correct.
capturing.
Yes.
There, we used to always capture guest history and all that, but now we have automated systems of capturing guest history. If I, from the hotel systems itself, whatever requests are made, if they can get into a central database rather than manually punching in, the front office used to do that, guest history.
Correct.
Punch in, and they'll probably punch in about 8-10% of what the requirement is. So if there's a guest who requires an extra blanket, and so that's captured and it's kept in the history. So whichever hotel he goes to in the group, and nowadays it'll be create a wow factor. Definitely, that's very important. But there are a lot of things. Like I just tell you, I just read in the papers. One second, just give you that if you overdo it, Microsoft had to abruptly withdraw its chat box, Tay, which inadvertently tweeted offensive messages. It just did not understand the concept of right and wrong. That is what,
Yes,
is, what is the danger that, it can happen.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting perspective. Now, Kamesh, so the hoteliers have spoken. Now, from your side, the distribution side, how do you see from the guests? How do you see the guests looking at it? Primarily, what product innovations are you looking at to address those automations?
I think it's not just last 2 years, but before that, we all expected personalization. We've all been guests on the other side as well. We've been travelers. All of us travel. We love traveling. What changed over the last 2 years is every single touch point became digital. And it's probably in our practice as well, whether we are dreaming to travel, from the time we dream to start researching about it, to the time we start booking it, there is a lot more research being done. It's not just about rates that time. It's about attribute. It's about the value proposition with the perfect digital experience that's coming first to convert that traveler to a guest. Then comes the physical experience where the travelers, I'm talking about myself, I've traveled 250 days until 2019, and I'm back to it, back to cloud-based. I expect a lot more deeper engagement while I'm in the hotel. Right. There could be opportunities to upsell, cross-sell to me. Of course, I need to be engaged. I need to be told about it. And I'm using WhatsApp a lot more. So that's my medium. I look at WhatsApp first, then I look at apps and mails. So that's my communication medium. It's instant gratification. And that converts me to a loyal guest back to the hotel. But before that, I'm comparing destinations. Then I choose a destination, then a hotel, because all that content I'm researching online, whether it's on the OTA or booking engine or could be any booking source, I'm looking a lot more deeper on policies, inclusions, and value that appeals to me. So that's the first moment of truth in driving that personalization.
Okay.
And then comes the engagement here.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, Kamesh. Vivek, now, what's your view on this? What's your organization looking at it? Any interesting perspective you want to share with us?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much, Vinay, for having us on the panel. And thank you, BW Hotelier, for organizing this.
Yeah, can you put the mic close? Sorry.
Is it audible now? Yeah. I was just thanking you for setting up this wonderful panel, and also BW Hotelier for doing this after COVID. Now, customer journey, coming back to your question, today customer expects every touch point that they go through to be digitized or automated. And we all do that in our life, be it WhatsApp, be it a chatbot that you go to. While it might be as simple as asking for a water bottle, or making a reservation, or asking a specific need to a specific traveler. Now, how well are we automating is all up to us. If we sort of look at customer journey and step back, there are three large buckets I think we can put that in. One is a pre-sale, one is a point of sale, and one is post-sale. In my view, I think the largest emphasis will go into the pre-sale bucket, because that is where you would either as a hotelier win or lose your client. Now, everywhere I go, I'd also take a bit of statistics. As a country, we do about 2.5 million available nights a day. We hit about 70 to 80% occupancy collectively. And our digital penetration right now sits at about 52%, which means we engage about 1 million users online on digital platforms. Now that's a large number. That's probably how much Switzerland would do in an entire month. Now, if with such a large user base that is on, how are you going to engage? In my view, and I keep telling to all my hotelier friends that I go to, there is something called active social listening. We all use social listening very reactively. I would urge you to look at channels that are more proactive, that give you an understanding of what would happen in that micro market and what are the exact traveler needs are. And the second thing is get your content more dynamic. We've also placed a 10 card on all the tables. If you've got some time, just scan that on and engage with the chatbot that we're talking about. You would understand where the technology has headed to. Now, this is something that we've proactively wanted to kind of automate. But there are a lot of things today which are available, which are IoT driven, which are AI/ML driven, where the user gets to know or the hotel gets to know that if there is a VIP movement, you need to have certain amount of AC that hits it for an ambient temperature. So all of them are now available. And we've again, as a lot of panelists have said, it cannot be an intrusive use of technology. You cannot go beyond what is supposed to be a Lakshman Rekha. But always there are, the technologies at the standby wherever it is supposed to be useful. End of the day, we are all ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, that's about it from technology water effect. Yeah.
Okay, great perspective, Vivek, on the active social listening. I think it's an important point. Now let me bring in Suhail, who couldn't join us, but he is available. Suhail, hope you have heard so far, and I'll just repeat the question again for you, is to, given the advent of AI and automation, what user journey from a guest standpoint, what is it that they're looking at, and what's your perspective, what's your organization doing for it, if you want to share your view on this?
Thank you all for having me, and I'm very sorry I couldn't be there physically with you all. So just like Kamlesh mentioned, actually, on the onset of COVID, our first reaction was to automate all guest touchpoints. So we went ahead, automated your menus in this thing, all your guest touchpoints, be it from check-in to check-out to menus to everything. But the actual take and the usage of it, so from our group perspective, it tracks at about 6%. So only 6% of the guests are actually utilizing this. Even if you look at the restaurants, we go to restaurants physically now, and when you see a scanned card, you first ask them, do you have a copy of the menu? Okay. So I think in that aspect, we anticipated incorrect. I don't think guest touch points, eliminating them is going to be the automation that we need for the future. But what we do need in terms of automation is, as a hotel and as a hospitality company, we sit on enormous amounts of data. Okay. We need to be able to decipher that data so that it helps us anticipate the guest's needs. And those needs need to be carried out by actual physical people, but we need to be able to better anticipate the guest needs. Just as an example, today we know as a hotel what time a guest wants to eat his food, because we have a record of exactly what time he has placed his orders, be it in room service, be it at the restaurant, but we're doing nothing about it. Okay, we know what he wants to eat, we know what time he wants to eat, but we do very little about the data that we have. So if we are able to really automate in two aspects, one is marketing automation, I think that is primary. Second is utilize this data that we have for better marketing automation, even in terms of anticipating guest needs. So if they're able to do that, that will drive enormous amounts of revenue to the hotels.
Great. Thanks, Suhail, and thanks for your perspective. So let me put my second question, and as an extension of what you just said, we are sitting on a lot of customer data, which is obviously can use for doing machine learning algorithms, to do personalization, to do, more importantly, to give targeted recommendations so that he's likely to use it, right? Now, from a guest standpoint, this is great, but there's also a fine line that we have to balance out, which is in terms of privacy. While GDPR is there for the Western world, in India, there is privacy laws which are coming up. So we also need data, but at the same time, we need to sensitize both the customers and the ecosystem to ensure that the way we're going to use it is to their benefit. So in that context, I wanted to know your views of the panelists in terms of how do we use the customer data and what's the best usage that we can have, and we can sensitize as well as encourage the customer to share so that it can be used for their own benefit. Hemant, you want to share something?
Okay. First of all, when we are collecting the data, customer is not aware that we are collecting the customer data. Customer is at the front line where he's just trying to access something, but we are, as a technology team, technology company, we are capturing the information and utilizing it. But at the same time, we should also be responsible to take the consent and inform customer accordingly. That okay, although customers are very intelligent these days, for example, if you search something and you are not committing that, as I mentioned earlier, then automatically you get a call. Customer will come to know that my data got collected.
Correct. He knows that you called because of
that data. Yeah. But yes, at the same time, as a responsible companies, we should always inform customer, take the consent properly, that okay, we are utilizing it. Once the consent is given by the customer, then only we should utilize this for customer benefit. Now, how we'll be utilizing this? Let's say, if customer, he was searching and he is now potential, your customer is coming to the hotel and utilizing hotel services. Now, the similar data can be utilized again as per his consent, because he's signing a reg card with the hotel with a proper consent given to hotel to utilize this kind of service. Now, you can create good smart rooms in the hotel, which basically understand consumer behavior and act accordingly. So this will also give a lot of saving for owners, hotel teams, hotel members, where, although this kind of similar technology is there already, where sensor based and all that, but that is not connected with AI or machine learning. This is more like understanding the consumer behavior and accordingly giving him the mood lighting, accordingly giving him the access to TV and what kind of channels that the user is liking. Again, all that information can be utilized, and moreover, you are giving a wow factor to the customer. Recognizing a customer while the customer is in the hotel. Let's say customer walking into the hotel, nobody is recognizing straight away coming. Okay, I'm so and so customer. But if you have this AI and machine learning combination in between, you implement right kind of systems and setups, you do face recognition of the customer, connectivity with so many other applications, which can really give a good feel factor for the customer and for his journey during the stay in the hotel.
Okay, great. Thanks, Hemant. I think you spoke about consent is the most important part, but at the same time, the use of the data is actually can be used for a wow factor. I think that's a great example. So Baljee, what's your views on this?
Yeah, you see, data security is utmost important. You may collect data, you may do this, but when there's a breach, and it's happened in the best of organizations across the world,
Yes.
and we people are most technologically challenged in smaller hotel chains. We don't have data security at all. So I think this is very, very important. Particularly, who stayed in which room. Okay, now particularly in this pandemic time, you had a lot of staycations where you have boyfriend, girlfriend coming and staying in a room and going. Just imagine if that data is leaked and you have good systems, then you are in trouble. So I think we need to, and we as hoteliers are so naive. Like there are some consulting organizations which ask us for regular data and we just pass it on to them. We don't have any NDA with them, or even if you have an NDA, we have no system of checking whether they are sticking by the NDA. We just keep on giving data. Every consultancy organization asks us, we send the data of each hotel, occupancy, ARR, everything, we keep passing it on. And that is being misused now. Right? I know of a consulting organization which is misusing that data for their. So we need to be very careful about this whole business of AI, collection of data and all that what it can be used for and what it can be misused. And as he rightly says, maybe customer delight, yes, but beyond that, you got to be a little wary.
Okay, now it's an important view, and data security is the most important. I think smaller or larger organization, this is becoming the most important thing. Now, Kamesh, I think just before the session also we spoke. This is the dichotomy of we having all possible data so that we can do all algorithms and primarily to basically wow the customer, but at the same time manage the privacy part of it. So how do we see this balance getting played out?
So of course, as technology providers, we are compliant on certifications, and it's all with, the mutual consent, because what we share is public data, and what we drive, to help our customers and partners is to help personalize the experience. So all that data that we collect, whether it's searches, the content that's converting on a specific source market, demand channel, all of that is actually in compliance with all the data norms. And, there is all due certification. But the end game is to collect as much data that can help, meet the touch points and help personalize the approach and the value proposition there.
Great. So Vivek, I think what's your view on personalization vis-a-vis privacy?
Yeah.
And what is that thin line that we should not cross, or it's okay that we do it, but because it is beneficial for the customer?
Yeah. So I think from a technology standpoint, it becomes our responsibility than anything else to store the data as per the GDPR guidelines that are there. I think we as nation are working to a stronger GDPR and privacy policies. But yeah, the key to any business today is responsibility. Data, if you have, if you've got a lot of data, there are positives to it and negatives to it. If you look at positive side of it, we can automate and we can use the data to sort of get the right pricing. There are companies that are doing extremely good job for yield automations, for revenue automations in the market, which are completely driven by AI and ML platforms. However, if you misuse the data, you got as we all hoteliers understand that there is a leak somewhere, and especially if you're moving to more cloud-based or technologies that are not within your premises, you need to be a little more careful, and that's where the PMS companies today take data so so seriously. They've got stringent policies of having multiple security authorizations before you could even get in. So my take on data is it's good if you use properly. But there's flip sides to it. As technology partners, we're trying to see how we can circumvent that and then probably get to a situation where there is a zero misuse. Absolutely.
Okay, so you're saying drive responsibly, like they say, use the data responsibly.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Suhail, I think earlier you spoke very passionately about personalization, and I know I'm sure you have strong views. So would like to hear those as
So see, as far as I'm concerned, everybody collects your data, right? Today, we're not even sure whether Google is listening to us when we're not, haven't, we don't even know what permissions we have given to who to utilize what data of us. And that's the current reality of data protection. So while we have to comply with all regulations and we're absolutely willing to comply with all regulations, I think the future of data protection is more about transparency than anything else. At the end of the day, a customer should be able to, at some point, access and see what is the data that you have of theirs, and choose whether or not you're able to utilize this data or not utilize this data for any other purpose, be it sharing the data or anything else. So transparency is the key for the future. Today, we're in a little more unprotected market. So there is definitely misuse of data happening all across.
Yeah, okay. So let me share our personal example, and that's where we are also thinking about what is the best way to do it. So in order to, we have collect a lot of customer data, and so there's always a need to enrich this customer profile. And we were looking at what are the ways by which we can do. And I came across, I'm sure you all are aware, that there are public APIs which are available who can actually go to a social media account and pick your public profile, the profile which you already made public. So technically it's public available information. Now, can I pull, for example, can I go to your LinkedIn profile and pull your picture and save in my database because I want to greet you when you come in? Is it right? Not right? Okay, that's always the conundrum that we actually come across, and hence this discussion on the personalization and the privacy is more important. So let me take the next question. I think this is closer to most of the technologists' heart. Now with the technology being changing, come to a stage where it is, especially with the advent of automation and artificial intelligence, do you believe that it has reached a stage where for hotel brands, it can really give a competitive advantage and act as the differentiator? Do you believe that it has reached that stage? Hemant?
There are two angles to it. One is customer angle. One is internal back of the house staff utilizing this kind of services. I feel customer point of view, we are not there 100%, to be very frank, because we need to really, because first of all, artificial intelligence and machine learning is a very good project, but it's a very expensive project to start with. To develop, to set up, to sustain, to manage, there is a cost to it, which, we are there. We have already implemented chatbots. We have already implemented AI concierge in our hotels. We have already implemented, dynamic pricing. Somebody was saying, in revenue management, we all done that. But we are still not there with respect to utilizing this particular for the customer point of view. But very soon, future is this. Let me be we all are exposed to digital world. We all have two phones, this and one, multiple apps, connectivity, and we all want to be connected to the network. And we all want people to pick up our information and give us best of the service back to us. Now, the other angle, which is, back of the house, you can say, where it can really help very well to departments like legal to start with. Why I'm saying starting with legal is that there are millions of pages of contracts, verification. AI can help you in versions of contracts within no time, where you can pick it up. Okay, what is the difference between this contract and this contract? Secondly, other departments, let's say, there are, front office staff is so over pressured or giving the answers to same and same questions again and again to the customers. You can automate that. And this, which will give them a chance to work in a different manner and their productivity is very positive. Like, one simple question, okay, what are the happy hours in your bar? Every customer will ask, right?
Right.
Now, if it is automated through QR scanning, as gentleman mentioned, and then automatically you can ask question. We did this same thing in our lot of hotels. That okay, some questions like 5,000 to 7,000 questions, which are common in nature. Everybody will ask. So this will take the pressure from the back office. People can be more productive. And then there are areas like, let's say, talk about HR. Bigger companies, more number of resources, their training programs, their talent management program, their performance enhancement, so many things, which can very well be handled utilizing these AI services going forward.
Okay. So you're saying from the front office, we are still not there, back office, we are. Mr. Baljee, what do you think? Is the technology a differentiator or not yet?
I think he's right that, particularly in big hotels, there's so many repetitive questions. But the assurance that you get or answer from a human being is much more. Like we were at Serengeti a month back at Four Seasons Hotel, and they had a lot of things. They had two screens, and you could scroll and ask about Serengeti and all that. After 1 or 2 minutes, I got so bored and all that. I went back to the front desk and sat in front of the girl and asked her that question and all that, and she answered the question. So I think there's a little bit of but you're also right that newer generation wants less human contact.
Right.
So it's going to take some time. And guys like me, the yesteryear people would like to talk to people. And whereas new people don't even want to talk. My son don't want to talk to me. So when the question of, so they go to hotels, then they'll all like to automatic do things in automated way. So I think we are at a stage where we're not fully automated and we're not yet fully. So we have to provide both.
Okay. Okay. Kamesh, is Philippe, we reached that stage where technology can make a difference, or hence you can call it as a differentiator, or it's just still not there yet?
It has a lot of scope, and I think it's going to be there soon. And just come to think of who is the revenue generator for you, the traveler. So if we have to get them moving as a guest, convert them, we got to at least, so there are components within the, I'll again come back to my first point, which I mentioned was the traveler's journey. The first three critical part, which has 100% moved to AI ML, is the dreaming stage, research stage, and the booking stage. That is already there. Then comes the actual physical experience. Of course, we are hospitality. You need the human touch as well. But understand about the current manpower crunch that we're facing. You need to blend that approach, because that traveler does not have the patience. He or she needs immediate attention and resolution to the question. So it has to really blend with the balanced approach to convert along the movement and the traveler's journey here.
Okay, great. Vivek, you believe, you agree with him or disagree with him?
In my view, it's definitely a differentiator for sure. Just to, if we go back a year and a half or two, God forbid that time never comes back again. But the differentiator that people choose to go to a hotel was a complete digitization. So if you look at a contactless check-in, that was an evolved term which was already used in most of the countries. But we adapted it, and I think that's where the differentiator was. And if you sort of understand our entire hoteliering, probably about 10 years back, if somebody would have told me that I can book a room on my mobile, I would have probably laughed at him as director of sales marketing. And today, we go back to those channels, to come back and garner more traction to us. So yes, technology is evolving. I feel it will be a differentiator, especially when you are at the hotel and you would want to probably at a touch of a button order for room service, or increase the AC, or probably get into a spa just by booking an appointment there. And I also agree with Mr. Baljee. I've worked enough with him, and that human touch cannot be replaced by technology. I think there is a quite line that technology needs to be crossed in.
Yeah.
I give you an instance. Once I'd gone to one of the top restaurants in Bangalore, and with my wife, and this host said, "Should I give you the same table which I gave you last time when you came with your wife?" So you can imagine what trouble I got into. And it's still going on for the last so many years that you still not told me who you went with to this restaurant. And so I think if you have artificial intelligence and you capture all the data, and there you got to have many more such instances, be prepared for that.
Yes, yes, that's an interesting take. Suhail, what's your view? Is it a differentiator? Can't hear you, you're on mute.
Sorry. So back to the COVID phrase of unmute. Let me split your question into two parts. One is technology. Can technology be a differentiator within groups? And two, is it currently being a differentiator? So number one is, if it can be, you just draw industry parallels over here. You look at, say, the automotive industry, for example. You look at Tesla versus a Mercedes. Which is a better physical car to drive? I don't think people will question on the ability of a Mercedes, the German development. But why has Tesla been able to this? It's technology. So technology can 100% be a differentiator between brands. I don't think there's any doubt in that. Now, is it currently being a differentiator in the hospitality segment? I think to absolutely zero effect. Because there is a lot that we haven't done in hospitality with technology. Very few hospitality companies are currently even have technology as a major research center for them to try and develop new technology. We're relying on outside technology, which comes in, so it's plug and play, so it becomes a level platform. Anyone who can afford the technology brings in the technology. No one's really going and developing their own technology. Very few are developing their own technology, which can truly be a differentiator for future.
Okay, thanks. I think we come to the end of the session. Due to paucity of time, we need to wind up. Just to summarize about the points that we discussed, I think we looked at automation and artificial intelligence, machine learning are playing great roles. There are organizations which are implementing many things, and all my panelists spoke about all of that. And we also looked at from the customer standpoint in terms of what is important for him. How do we do personalization? How do we still ensure that his consent is taken? How do we ensure that the data security is maintained? Finally, we also kind of agreed that yes, technology is the differentiator, but as an industry, we still have some time to reach there. Oh, I think it's an important aspect that we have to use today, technology as an enabler to the hospitality, because hospitality is known for the service that is given, physical service that is given, and it's not entirely digital. So digital is an enabler, and hence I think while the technology is advanced and we're doing a lot of things, all of this that we are doing, we have to keep in mind at the center there is a customer, and we all exist to service him. With that, I take your leave. Thank you. Thanks for being patient. Thanks, my panelists.